Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. It's Justin from Alto Music, and today we're going to talk about the 5 most important states of fuzz. States of fuzz. Walrus Audio put out a new fuzz pedal, and it's, I guess, more like 5 fuzz pedals in one with the Eons. It's the newest addition to their 5-state series. So we're going to talk about it, we're going to listen to it a little bit, get that warm, fuzzy feeling. It'll be a good time. Before we do that, make sure you hit that subscribe button below. You can go ahead and hit that little bell too. It'll notify you when we post anything on our channel, any gear reviews, any demos, any just fun stuff we want to do. We post it there first, so you'll hear about it first. It's pretty cool how the internet works. When it comes to fuzz and distortion, Walrus Audio has some staples out there with the Iron Horse or the Jupiter, or even the Kangaroo Fuzz. It's a really cool sounding sort of subtle fuzz. They take all these overdrive distortions and whatever sound you want, and they have it in this singular pedal, and they sound great. But then over the last couple of years, since 2020 actually, they started releasing these 5-state pedals. They started with the Ages in 2020 here. Starts with the first stage is your lowest amount of overdrive you can get while still being apparent. Goes all the way up to the 5 stage, which is going to be the most overdrive you can get. It's sort of like a medium-high gain. Then in 2021, last year, they released the Eras, and same idea, but distortion. So you can get kind of a really nice low distortion, or you crank it up to the 5 stage, complete chaos. It's really beautiful, really awesome sounding. But what about fuzz? Does Walrus Audio hate fuzz? Did they forget to make a fuzz version of this? Just hold on. They're the professionals. They got this. So enter the Eons. Taking a similar form to the Eras and the Ages before it, the Eons has a 6-knob sort of interface on the front with a volume, a gain, it's got a bass, it's got the mode switcher, it's got a treble, so you can dial in your basic tones. And while the other ones have a blend knob up in the top middle there, this one has something different. It's got a little lightning bolt knob here, which lets you control the voltage. We'll get into that as we go through the sounds. So let's just start with the first mode here. So the first setting, right now we got everything pretty much at noon. The voltage thing in the middle isn't going to really take as much effect at the lower setting there. So we'll start on the first stage here, which is going to be more of like a silicon soft clipping traditional fuzz. It's well-rounded, it's got a big sound to it. So I'll give you my clean, where you're using a Yamaha Rev Star here. This is all going into a Walrus ACS1. And then I just have the Eons right before that, so. That's clean. So you can hear it's not a super over-the-top fuzz yet. It's definitely there, you can hear it. But what I'll do is I'll take the voltage down, just so I can explain how this voltage knob works. So right now, we'll actually start it right from the top. So you can go all the way up to 18 volts to get a sort of full open sounding fuzz, or you can bring it all the way down to 3 volts and get that sort of on its last leg, sputtery, dead battery sounding fuzz. Whatever floats your boat, you can get it with the Eons. So let's start 18 volts. I got the gain at noon, everything at noon. Mode is the first setting. So. Now I'll do it and I'll bring the 18 volt down to the 3 volt as we go. So that's with it at about noon. You can see it just kind of brings down sounds like it almost brings the volume down a little bit. But if we bring the gain up, you can really hear it in there. You can start to hear it sputter off a little bit. Again, it's not as noticeable in the first setting. Now we know what the voltage knob does. Let's take a look at some of these other stages. So the second stage here, it's going to be more of a bass boost. It's also going to be a little more compressed and crunchy sounding, just kind of bringing in more elements of the lower end. And so we are in we got the 18 volt all the way up. We got gain at about 3, mode 2. Everything else we're keeping at about noon, just to kind of keep it right down the middle. So. It's got a really full sustain to it. Doesn't really die off when it's at the 18 volt. So let's try it now, bringing it down to the 3 volt slowly. So. We'll bring it all the way down. We'll bring the gain all the way up just so you can really hear how it affects it. We'll let it hang out for a second. You'll hear it slowly starts to kind of putter out there. And that's what that voltage knob does. It really brings out a little in-between to each setting you're in, so you can really kind of get into the fine details of each one. So stage 3 on this pedal, it asks the question of what would happen if distortion fuzz had a baby. Would it be distuzz? Would it be fuzztortion? Whatever it is, it would be whatever stage 3 is on here. You're going to have a bit more germanium soft clipping. It's going to be a little more crunchy and dynamic sounding. So we'll keep that right up into the 18 volt again. Gain back at 3. Same deal. We'll bring it down to about between 3 and 18, whatever the math is on that. We're going at noon on that knob. So you can start to hear it brings down the sort of overall power of the setting. Now let's bring it down again to 3 volt, and we'll bring the gain all the way up just so you can really hear. I'll bring it almost all the way up. It doesn't have as much power to it, and this is on stage 3, so it shows you how much you can really get out of this pedal. You can go all the way from, or you can reel in the whole headroom of it with the 18 volt. It's really cool. I like kind of where that sits in the middle there on that third one. You could tell that they're, I feel like sometimes with a pedal that has a bunch of different tones on it, sometimes they can all sound too similar. I really like that they dialed in a unique sound for each setting, doing the pedal justice, doing the series justice. So we're going to go to stage 4, and it's basically going to be a cut in the high end, a little more dark. It's an LED clipping diode, so do the same riff we've been doing. You get that fuzz, but you also get just a little bit of that get that upper headroom with the 18 volt there. So we'll bring that down to 3.2 just because we've been doing that. And you can hear there, it's really starting to get that sort of Jack White, just fuzz blown up into oblivion, which can be a really cool sound if you're going for that. We have the gain up at about 3. It's down to the 3 volt here, so. You can hear it starting to kind of, yeah, right there. Yeah, it's got that, like I said, it's like a sputtering on its last leg. Your battery is about to die, but you kind of like it because it's cool and it sounds cool, even though your battery's about to die. It's enough about batteries. Stage 5 is the sort of the final boss, the top of the Mortal Kombat tower. I think we can say Mortal Kombat in a video. We can. Top of the Mortal Kombat tower, final boss. It's the loudest, the angriest, the sort of roughest, toughest sounding fuzz in the bunch. So we'll just play that completely open with the 18 volt there. Yeah, you can hear it starting. big and mean and loud. It's how I know I like my fuzz. So let's do this. Let's bring it down to noon on the voltage. Keep the gain at about 3. And you know, let's bring the bass down a little bit. So the voltage up, bass down, we got it's cool, it gives it that sort of the more trebly sound. And then we'll bring the voltage down to noon. It's got that sort of cyclical. I like the way this thing sounds. That 5th level is really if you want to send your fuzz into the moon, that's what you want to do. And it gets even more apparent as you bring the voltage down. We'll bring it all the way down now. And so it goes from this all the way up to the 18 volt. And as I bring it down, you can hear it starting to lose some juice. Yeah, I really like this pedal. I feel like fuzz can sometimes be something where people think it's a one-trick pony, where it doesn't, you know, you either get this sound or you get this sound and there's no in-between. But what I like about this is you get basically 5 distinctive fuzz sounds in here, whether you want something that's a little more subtle, a little touch of fuzz, or you want something that's, you know, a pile of fuzz all the way at the stage 5, and everything in between. Not only do you get those settings, you get to then, with that voltage knob, you can really just dial in the perfect sound for what you want. With the additions of Eons, Walrus Audio has really rounded out this 5-state series of overdrives and distortions and now a fuzz by giving any player sort of a pedal they can sink their teeth into. If, you know, like I said before with fuzz, you may think it's a one-trick pony, and you may think that they all sound the same, but this pedal lets you dive really deep into the in-betweens of each setting and the in-betweens of each fuzz type. Whether you like to treat it like a fuzz parmesan and just add a little bit, or you want to just soak your entire board in fuzz, piles of fuzz, you can do that with this pedal. But what do you think? Are you a fuzz nut? Do you like to, I don't know, drench your sound in fuzz? Do you have a specific fuzz pedal you like? Let us know in the comments below, and we'll let you know what we think of your choice. If the Eons is a pedal you want to get that warm and fuzzy feeling, you can head over to altomusic.com and you can order one today.